Hey, y'all. Welcome back to the Faith and Fishing podcast. We're starting a new phase of the podcast, something that I had come to dread and really made podcasting less fun for me was writing, creating, and editing the segments that we had at the beginning of the episodes. Um, so so I've been contemplating what I want to do with the podcast, and what I've come to is starting with this episode. We are not going to have learn from my mistake, the product spotlight, or what you're reading anymore. I will leave the landing page for what you're reading up on the Quail Ridge Books site, so you can find all the books I reviewed and some of the books and Bibles that I recommend. But I won't be having any more of those segments. What this will allow me to do, and sorry if it looks like I'm reading from a script, y'all. I am. I'm still getting used to this. Um, but what that's going to allow me to do is spend less time editing, which will make this a lot less work for me. And what that will mean is not only will this be more enjoyable for me, it means that I am going to be able to get back to having an episode come out every week. So I have been doing some fishing on my breaks and at work and getting into some small bass. So yes, the 2022 cold streak has come to an end. But yeah, so that is going to do it for the housekeeping side of things. Let's take a quick break for a couple of words from sponsors, and then come back and get our guest introduced. Savior Outdoors gives me confidence that no matter what happens, what I take on the water is coming back home with me. With retrieval devices for fishing rods, bow fishing bows, action cams, and even one that can be attached to your other gear, they've got your whole arsenal covered. When one of these devices goes in the drink, it releases a float attached to your gear by 60 feet of line so you can get it back, and the pressure-sensitive filter means that you don't have to worry about rain or dips in the water while landing a fish. At SaviorOutdoors.com, that's SAVUR Outdoors.com, you can use promo code FNFP15 to save 15% and try them for yourself. Get Outdoors Pedal and Paddle in Greensboro, North Carolina offers a wide range of products and services designed to help protect the environment and enhance the time people spend enjoying the outdoors. With an expansive year-round inventory of kayaks, SUPs, bikes, kayak fishing accessories, paddling clothing, biking accessories, and more, Get Outdoors has established itself as one of the top paddle sports and biking shops in the Southeast. They also offer a wide range of kayak safety and technique courses to get you comfortable in your new boat. They'll even get it rigged up for you. Stop by the shop in Greensboro, North Carolina, or check them out at shopgetoutdoors.com. All right, so this time we've got Jay Walton. Jay Walton is the owner and creator of the Bass Juice, which is an attractant that we'll get into in the interview. But I am excited to try it out. He is an angler who just so happens to be down the road from me. He does have some medical stuff going on, and to help out with that, so y'all know I am the chaplain for the Central Carolina Kayak Fishing Tournament Trail. And for the month of June, so we have a monthly each month of the season. The month of June's monthly will be all the proceeds from that will be going to him to help out with his medical bills. So even if you can't fish the tournament, I encourage you to sign up, and the links to sign up will be in the show notes. But let's go ahead and get Jay in here. Jay, man, welcome to the show.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So to get us started off, man, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to our listeners? Tell us who Jay Walton is.
I'm John Walton. I'm originally from Garner, North Carolina. My family was originally from here. That's a rarity nowadays. You mostly meet people from up north moving down south, but I'm a local angler. I fished my entire life. My earliest memory is riding somebody else's shoulder, them carrying me to the pond. So as a child, it's what I did. It just was part of our family life and upbringing. So that basically stuck with me throughout my teenage years. I remember taking my fishing rods with me off to college. When I went off, I went to Chowan University down in Murfreesboro, North Carolina. Uh, Go Braves, I know, right? Which is cool. But I fished there. Graduated from there actually with a degree in printing technology. Started my printing career. Um, Came and I would go fishing before, after work, at lunch, on my breaks, whenever I could get a line wet throughout my printing career. Uh, Probably 30 years of that. I started 1984, I believe it was, in printing. Worked and worked and worked. And around 2017, I was diagnosed with lung disease. Basically, rheumatoid arthritis turning into lung disease, and the doctor was telling me, you're gonna have to cut this short, this printing career of yours. And I'm thinking, oh man, I'm gonna work till 63. I ain't got nothing to worry about. And he's like, man, if you continue to stick around this printing stuff with the fumes and solvents, he's like, you will not see 52. And when the doctor tells you that, and they got that look in their eye, you might want to take them seriously. So, um, I was forced to retire and go on disability in 2017, 2018. Um, 2019, I had been at home and just fishing, still fishing, doing around, doing little tournaments here or there. Like I said, I grew up here. I fished all the lakes, Sharon Harris, Jordan, Carr, Falls is probably my favorite. That's my stomping ground. Um, but I was fishing more and more. That's what I would do to entertain myself. So one day the wife told me, she was like, why don't you get in and wash that fish juice off? And speaking of Falls Lake, I had lost a really, really good fish, probably back in 2005. And I'm saying this was a teener, bro. I mean, like, seriously, like 12 or 13. She wouldn't fit in the net. She was just too big. This fish, if I had to average her, she was probably 28, 29 inches. My net was 26 across, and she was 2 inches across on each side of the net, and I could not get her in there. Lost that fish. But I said, through my career, I searched and searched, and that's where the juice came about, because I was looking for ways to trophy fish. And I met another angler that was from Florida, and he made his own Cincos, but he also made his own garlic attractant. And he turned me on to something for Sharon Harris. Now, uh, he would just dead stick a Cinco. And when I say he had a lot of garlic on it, he had the high smell in garlic, like really potent. I don't know what his stuff was. Mine's 100% just garlic mixed with salt and coffee. That's what I use for my attractant. But that showed me his technique. People go to the fishing pier all the time. It's community hole. I fished it. I've seen people catch a few fish there. Cool. This guy was averaging 5 pounds off the fishing pier, just throwing out and letting it sit and just letting the fish swim off with it. I mean, he had 3 spinning rods. He was making his own Cincos. He'd throw out and just leave it like he was catfishing. And he gave me a couple Cincos, and I went back the next day. I watched his technique, and I threw out. I'm a dog. If I didn't catch a 5-pounder too, I was like, man, look at this. So, like I said, it turned into that. The wife telling me, you need to do something with yourself. And I was like, man, I need to come up with a logo, and I need to go ahead and start, thinking about branding my own attractant. So I said, this was with me retiring. This was part of giving myself something to do, me still being creative. I'm a master printer by trade, so screen printing wasn't, a stranger to me. So that was how I started it. Printing my own shirts right out the living room with an ironing board and just taking over the house. You know how it is when you start something. Um, Went out, got me some hats embroidered. I said, and the whole basis behind the brand is just sharing the passion for fishing. I've spent, and we've all spent just tons of money on, these big name brands like Hug and all these others. I hate to even mention them, but like I said, for me, I wanted something that was affordable, but at the same time stylish, something I could do myself and promote my brand. And it just turned into that. Now I'll give you the short about how I created my logo. I was having trouble with my cell phone company. They kept turning my phone off. I'm on disability. I didn't have a lot of money coming in. So they would turn my phone off every month before my check hit. And I said, man, I'm tired of turning my phone off. So I said to myself, I'm gonna take that same money that I'm investing in this cell phone bill, and I'm about to start my own business. And I bought me a small screen printing press. I think I paid $60 for it. Took the rest of the money, invested it in a few t-shirts, Went out and I think I had 10 hats done the first time, paid for that. And I had a $200 or $300 budget that I was working with every month. And I would just reinvest it. And every month it was a different product. Every month I was coming up with something else. Next month it was stickers. I mean, I was always just promoting the brand. But back to the story about how I created the logo, I basically drew it out on my phone with my finger, just drew the whole entire logo. Um, and I remember posting it on Instagram. I was like, man, I'm gonna go on Walmart and it's gonna be my shirts hanging up for sale because somebody just screenshotted me and just took my logo. But and there are some companies and there's a lot of competition out there in the fishing industry. I've had people getting my messages, man, you're copying this or this, that, and the third, just accusing stuff. And I'm like, I don't even know who you are. Like, I don't know what are you talking about? It's like, whatever. Some people, you just got to cut them off. But like I said, it started out with the logo. I said, I came up with my attractant off of the same techniques I saw this guy doing and having success on Sharon Harris, which is cool because that's where my PB came from, my personal best from Sharon Harris. And it was a 24-inch, 10.4 pounder. I mean, just a giant. But I was on a streak the month that I caught that fish. I mean, I caught an 8. I caught a 7. I mean, I was on fire. This was right before. Matter of fact, no, I want to say it was after MLF left when they came here. So that creek that I was fishing, it was just lit. I mean, I was just catching them. So it wasn't a fluke. I said I lost that real big one on falls that time, but I did. I said I got redeemed by hit my double digit finally, and it takes a lot of work. It doesn't just happen, and that's part of the brand. You know what I'm saying about preparing your lures and having your stuff smelling right, because sometimes you only get that opportunity once and it may not come around. And these fish are smart, especially around here locally. The fishing pressure just drives them to the point to where they won't hit anything. If it smells right, it looks right, they're going to really nudge it, kind of like that fish I was talking about I missed earlier, before they really commit to it. You want to fool them to the point that they're going to eat it, no questions asked. They smell it, see it, and just natural instinct that they'll eat it. So I said that's really the basis of what I'm doing. It's not just a lot of people do fishing apparel, a lot of people do hats, but the attractant, to be honest, I kind of underestimated it myself, even in the beginning. I mean, I make it and I sell it, make a few little dollars, but it was never about the money. It was just about catching fish and sharing information and meeting anglers. So the fact that I've been able to do that for the past 2 years is a blessing. I said it's just a really, really good opportunity. I've met a lot of really, really good people, here locally and across the nation, which is wild. I had people in Texas that were just loving it, swearing by it, catching redfish on it, sending me pictures. Look at these reds, man, we're tearing them up. So that's just awesome. Like I said, when you create something and you hand it off to somebody else as a product, to see the success and the happiness that it brings, it's priceless, to be honest with you. So for me, I said it was something that I was eager to get back to after my trip to the hospital. But I said now I'm really still pacing myself. I don't want to overdo it, but I'm still pacing myself. Getting back to the grind, so to speak, but not overdoing it, which is why I was really thankful for them to include me in the upcoming tournament, and raise some money to help pay for some of my medical expenses, because I really, really want to get back fishing like I was before. And my therapist seems to think I can get there. She's always asking me, did you catch a fish this week? And I was like, well, I did catch one on Friday. So it's been quite the journey. Like I said, I say it over and over again. I'm abundantly over and abundantly just blessed. Not just to be here, but to be here and to be able to tell this story and how people listen to it, um, and understand that God is great and he is capable of all things, regardless of what people say. Because I've had doors swing open when they told me wasn't possible. I said they weren't even expecting me to make it. I said even once I did come back, they weren't sure, how cognizant I would be, whether I'd have memory loss, or I wasn't sure if I would get all my faculties back walking. Basically had to learn to walk. And like I said, to go from that to actually getting in my truck and driving to my favorite pond and catching a fish, Man, I mean, praise him. I'm serious. Like, just he gets all the glory. I didn't do any of that because there was days where I didn't feel like doing therapy, and I prayed. I asked for strength and endurance, and he gave it to me. I'll give you the story about how I left the rehab facility because I was actually staying. I had left the hospital. I was out of ICU, but you have to walk 50 feet before they release you from the hospital. Well, 150 feet, I want to say it is the threshold of your house, whatever that is. And I was just walking, just getting out of the bed. And the first day, it took me 14. Now, I walked 14 steps the first day, 14 steps, 14 baby steps. And it took me an hour and 45 minutes for 14 steps the first day. Now, they came right back. The therapy came back the second day. I think this was a Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. The second day, I walked 50 feet in about an hour. Now, the third day, I wanted to tell them to go away. I was sore, I was hurting, and I had no faith. I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this. Please leave me alone. And I prayed. I was like, Lord, please be with me today. I was like, walk with me. Give me the strength to endure and get through this because I wanted to go home. I had been in the hospital a really long time. And that third day, I walked 150 feet. I said in 3 days, I went from 14 steps to 50 feet. And on the day that I prayed and asked him to give me strength when I did not want to do it, I walked the extra 100 feet. So that right there, if you don't believe in prayer and God answering prayer and giving us strength, that's a perfect testimony because it just shows that he can do things beyond our own understanding. And that's what I love about when I said the Lord and what he's done for me because he's proven himself. That's facts. That's not me spreading the story or trying to make it more than what it is. That's something you can tangible touch and know and feel because he did it for me. So I said, and it wasn't just that because they were telling me that I wouldn't get accepted to the next place, the place that I do rehab now, Wake Med. It was like, oh, Wake Med is not taking any new patients. I was like, listen, lady, y'all telling me I'm not gonna leave here before Thanksgiving or Christmas. First of all, you're wrong. I was like, God's gonna make a way. I was like, he's gonna make a way. I'm getting out of here. I was like, I'm telling you, I'm going. He's getting me home. And after I did all that walking, the next day, I want to say that was that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That Thursday, they accepted me to Wake Med. She was like, well, they accepted you. You're leaving here tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Surprise. I was like, you don't know who I know. I was like, God does it. He did it for me. He swung those doors open. So I said, I'm a firm believer in prayer. Plain and simple, you know. My wife likes to say, make your request known, no matter what it is. And if you believe on it, you have faith, he'll do it for you. So,
Yeah, my favorite scripture is Philippians 4, 6, and 7, and it talks about that right there. It's don't be worried or anxious about anything, but pray,
in
pray about
every,
everything, with thanksgiving,
that's
um,
right.
and
Praise.
and that peace that surpasses all understanding.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So yeah, man, I am. It's a powerful story. I'm already over here like wiping tears and everything.
Listen, bro. I'm
Um,
telling you, I had nurses crying. I'm serious. Like they were like, "Are you kidding me?" I was telling them the story about what had happened to me and how I was feeling and how it was all coming out. And they were telling me, "You're so inspiring." It's like, "You really?" I was like, "I wish I could come back and talk to some other patients. I mean, I wish there was more I could do." I talked to the chaplain at the hospital, and he sat in the maze and he wanted me to talk. I was like, "Are you supposed to be praying for me?" I was like, "Why you got me doing all the talking?" So it's just been quite the journey. Like I said, to see the things that he's done, and that's the best part because he's not done with me yet, and I'm searching for my purpose, in all of this, which is awesome in itself. Like I said, anytime God starts revealing stuff to you like that, and we know it when we see it. That's the best part. Nobody has to say, well, maybe that was a blessing. No, it was. It was truly a blessing and a miracle, and just a healing process for me to be able to get as far as I've got. So I said I'm praying for more. I'm asking him to continue to open doors and continue to strengthen me so I can be the person that he wants me to be and turn into whatever I need to do going forward. So um, I said I'm a blank book at this point, um, coming out of it, and that's what I've been doing. I've been telling the wife I'm searching for ways that I can be more active and do some things and actually declare his kingdom here on earth. So, and do what I can to be a part of that. So, um, it's and people tell you that it's like fire shut up in your bones, and that's the truth. Because when you catch it, you catch the Holy Spirit, and it hits you like that. That's how it feels. It's like you can't contain it. It's so powerful. So, that's how I was feeling, and I was telling the chaplain at the hospital that, and he was like, man, he's like, I can't wait to see what you can do. When you get out of here, it's like I've got every right to believe that you can be out of here in about a week. It's like I see it coming, and through therapy and everything, it took me. I want to say I went in on July the 19th, sat in ICU for like 38 days, I believe it was. Spent another 2 weeks in respiratory therapy, and then spent another 3 weeks in regular therapy over at Wake Med. And I got out the hospital to come home September the 29th, I believe it was. I said I went in July. I came out in September. So
on this podcast, man, obviously most of our audience is listening.
mm-hmm.
But these videos do end up on they end up on Patreon first, so that people can see them early, and then they end up on YouTube after that. And I want to encourage everyone to make sure you go and watch this one on YouTube, because this man, his smile is like it's, it's gonna make you smile. Like it's gonna make you smile for weeks. This is like just God is just shining through this man. So I want
I
to
appreciate that. Thank you.
absolutely, man. And let's talk about the kind of origin of that faith. Ha-
Well, bro, I'm telling you, I'm a preacher's kid. All right. Let me explain that. Um, and everybody knows we the worst of the worst. Don't follow my example. But at the same time, I know I'm not. I mean, I'm not the type to where I just quote scripture and run around. But I know I'm a man of faith. I know God's hand. I know. Um, I'm not gonna say his purpose, but when he moves, you respect it and you follow it. You know what I'm saying? Um, me as a kid, we all it's like rolling the dice. You're a gambler. Like, I got my whole life. I ain't got nothing to worry about. But we all were born, in order to one day meet with him again. You know what I'm saying? So as a young person, you spend it, spend it, spend it, and then when you start getting older, you're like, man, I might want to get my life right, man. I might be meeting him pretty soon one day. But to go into the hospital, basically, and not even remember being threatened with losing your life and feeling God's presence while you're asleep, I mean, and seeing the things that all people see, the stereotypical stuff. I see the light, I'm floating over my body, all that stuff. Um, and then to be given a second chance, to be given his grace and mercy, and see the things that I saw, you know, um, going forward and the doors he opened for me. Obviously, he had a purpose for me. So, I'm very respectful of that, first and foremost. And secondly, I'm thankful. And like you were saying, my smile, that's just me being happy, because what do I have to be sad about? Nothing. Nothing. There's no worries, none of that. Because when you have the faith like that, and God shows you things, it's amazing. I mean, I can't even put it into words. It's hard for me to describe it. I do my best, but like I said, you have an inkling, and we all know God is real. We all have faith, but to see him move, to see his hands produce things and make things happen, this is amazing.
yeah, for sure. And So I do want to get back to the bass juice a little bit.
Okay.
One, I just want to reiterate the logo that you have on your hat. That's the one that you drew with your finger,
Yeah.
touchscreen.
Yeah. Touchscreen. I did it on a photo editor.
My good.
I know, and it's cool because I came up with the fish. I have one of the first shirts I printed actually. What did I do with that thing? It's in here somewhere. Here it is. Now it progressed. I started working on it, but this was the very first shirt I printed. Like that was, it was just the fish. It was just the juice. It didn't have the outline, and I kept working it, working it, working it. I played with photo editor a lot. I played with the different filters, and I hit one day, and it gave me, I don't know if you can see that, it's kind of shiny, but it gave me that, and I was like, man, the combination of the black with the extra color, I was like, this is it. I was like, boom, I got it, and it just turned into that. I mean, it really came through. So,
Absolutely.
and I got a lot of compliments on it. Like I said, when I very first posted it, because at first I wasn't even trying to sell the attractant. I was just enjoying my fishing posts. I would, and that's what people get the word the juice from. That was a synonym for the sweet spot for catching fish. So
Mhm.
I would take a picture of all my favorite fishing areas. I wouldn't drop those coordinates, but I would take some really nice pictures. I mean, nice grass, frog, top water spots, stuff that looked fishy, and post it on Instagram. And it started getting a few likes here or there. And then I was like, well, maybe I'll do some hats. And I got in touch with some embroidery companies. And then the hats came out, and they came out looking pretty good. Um, I got some camos. Yeah, playing with those camos. I did some bucket hats.
Nice.
But anything I could stick my logo on, bro, I was all about that life for a while. And I said, because of what I was trying to do, being relevant and being a brand, you want to do stuff that's helpful to anglers. And that was what I was trying to do. What do I need as a fisherman? So next thing I know, I'm doing rod sleeves. I had the little keychains with the bass juice on it. I put them on my rod sleeves. I had those done. I said I do lots of stickers. I'm always coming up with different slogans. Like this one is "Make It Make Sense." I don't know if you have people seen that,
Oh, that is
but "Make It Make Sense." And I have another one that's like for PBs, like your PB chatterbait, your PB jig. Like what's your PB on a jig? Um,
And for those listening and not watching, that was Make It Make Sense. SCEN.
ENT. And the square bill, PB square bill. And I did all these because I wanted to do a fish bragging board. Um, I went out and had those done, and they came out amazing. Now you take a 5 or 6 pounder and you lay him on that and get his measurements, take a picture, and you can actually take your PB sticker and it's got a little arrow on it.
Nice.
You can actually measure that fish out and actually place this on the board. So I'm just trying to come up with stuff. Like I said, it's anything I can do for the brand and it be something new and cool. I'm trying to do it and see it come to life. Like I said, I spent a lot of money buying, hoodies and stuff with these fishing brands on there. My hoodies sell for $25. So versus, a $50 hoodie to represent the big guys, just represent the bass juice. Because I said I usually do the sleeves. I don't know if you can see that, but I do
Absolutely.
the sleeves. I do the regular logo on the front, and it's pretty cool. I try and keep my stuff colorful. I don't know if you noticed the pattern. It's always either pink, blue, red, green, neon green, or whatever other colors I can do. But
I don't know if you can tell, I like bright colors. So
I got them. I mean, they're out here. Um, I
and
even did
so
a white on white with red. So I've done a few different ones. I got the orange, the blaze orange for the hunters out there. I mean, it it really started to come together for me when I started putting the logo on stuff. So I'm proud of where it went, you know, from the beginning when I first started doing it, because it did have a purpose. It wasn't just me out there just slinging stuff. I was promoting the brand, trying to help these other fishermen, you know, break their own PBs. A lot of people's personal best is only like 6 pounds, 5 pounds. And I had become a trophy hunter at that point in my fishing career, where I was looking for, like I said, that double digit fish. And I was on the right pattern, sure enough, in the right area, and it happened for me. I'd like to see it happen again. I'd like to be like those guys. Oh, I've got, you know, 12 or 13 double digits under my belt, you know, but technically, I hope I can get back to that. I got a feeling I can do it at falls. I can break it at falls. I can hit that 11, 12 at falls, but it's going to take a lot of work. It's a lot of commitment when you set up on a big fish like that, especially in springtime. You can pattern them, and I've had luck and some success, you know, fishing some of these tournaments. I want to say I fished what was it, a cash on event, and I caught a 7 pounder. I want to say it was the second largest fish. Somebody beat me by a couple of ounces, and I was hoping I had big fish for that because it would have been good for $200 or $300. But yeah, I've had some success, like I said, and whether it was through the bass juice or just, like I said, being prepared and knowing the right season and fishing the right techniques, and that's what it really boils down to as an angler, is your preparation and you being ready for the opportunity. We all get the same opportunity. We all, you know, put our boats in the water, float out, and go fishing. But when you can put the chess game together and fish the conditions and fish the right baits, magical things happen. So I said I've been blessed throughout my fishing career. It's been a really, really long time that I have been fishing, all the way back to the Polaroid days, pre Instagram. Dude, do you got Polaroids where you had to wave it and be like, "Did it come out? I guess so. We let the fish go. I don't know. We'll see." And I said I wish I had been able to go into my shed out there because I got some pretty good ones from the early 80s and even 90s. I want to say I had a 6 pounder I caught at Lake Wheeler once. And for me, that was like the fish of a lifetime. Like, oh, I had reached the promised land. That was the holy grail right there. A 6 pounder, like, ooh. And that was what got the passion going in me because I wanted to be on those fish boards. I don't know if people remember you go in the tackle shop and there'd be a million pictures up there. And you just wanted to be that one guy in there, and if somebody see it, be like, man, I want to catch one like that. So that's what Instagram has turned into. You know, it's that fishing billboards. It's the shock and awe. People shock and awe. People see the fish. It's like, man, I'd love to catch one that size. So for me, that's what it kind of turned into with my regular fishing page. Before I even started the bass juice, I was just posting pictures, like as many fish as I could catch, as many trophies as I could put up. I was about that life. So hopefully we can get back to some of that. Like I said I'm working my way back slowly but surely. Like I said I'm asking everyone's continued prayers, and I'm doing my part because God's already done His. So it's just up to me to walk into His promises at this point.
Absolutely, yeah, man. And whenever you're talking about the trophy hunting and the PBs, you're speaking my language because I'm that guy that my PB is just over 6.5.
We can break that. We can do
I
that.
have
For
caught.
me, every year it was like I look forward to March. Like March was my month. Like in the spring, when spring hit, if I hadn't already caught a 6 or 7, my total season was waste. Like this is trash. I need to get on them. Like I'm ready to go fishing. Like every Saturday, Sunday, we were loading up the John boat with a trolling motor and a battery, and we'd fish until those blades were barely turning. We would barely make it back to the boat dock because we were just out all day long fishing on Saturdays and Sundays. And that was, I said, during the early 90s and 2000s. So, which is cool because when I first started the brand, I got involved with Slay Nation even before I started fishing the CCKA events. And what I really like about you guys is that same camaraderie, to be honest with you. It's really a brotherhood out there with the smaller smaller boats and the smaller trails, and there's nothing wrong with those. But I like to be competitive. I wanted to be a pro fisherman. I mean, I wanted to fish for a living, and who knew that it would turn into me having to retire and it still being a breadwinner for me. So basically, I am kind of fishing for a living, just on a different level.
Right.
So um, it just was always my passion. It's always what I wanted to do. I've always followed the tournaments online. I'd be at work, have the computer up. I'm watching every tournament that's going on for the weekend. I'm watching the weigh-ins. So for me, like even here locally, I like to go to events. Even if I'm not fishing it, I want to show up at the boat ramp and see what's been caught, talk to some of the anglers. And that's the problem with some of the bigger trails and some of these other hardcore tournament guys, which is why I like kayak fishing, because it's not, I'm not gonna say it's not as competitive, because it's really competitive regardless. I mean, I know some guys that can fish better than the pros that never fished a BFL or never fished, All American or any of those other big events, and they're just as good. I know some really good anglers like that, and that was what I really patterned me being an angler about. I wanted to be just a seasoned guy, and it didn't matter the bait, the technique, this time of year. Um, and all those things come with experience. It's just like anything else. It's kind of like the proof is in the pudding, and you practice what you preach. Because what'll happen is you'll start seeing seasonal patterns throughout the years, and you'll say to yourself, "Well, November of last year, I was catching them on riprap. I think I'm gonna try that." And then you go and have success at it, and it becomes a yearly pattern. And it just, after year after year after year, you pattern that success, and it comes back around. And that's what's really cool about fishing, is they can be patterned like that. So for me, it's that time now. I'm gonna put you on a little gym. They're starting to hit those pop bars. So that top water action, that top water
Man,
bite.
I love a popper, and it
Yes,
doesn't get better than a pop bar. I don't care what
yes,
anybody says about a Rico, it does not get better than a pop bar.
does not. And the secret sound is bloop,
Mhm.
bloop, and just let it sit, bloop, and they'll destroy it. I don't know why they can't stand that, but yeah, this
Yeah.
it's that time of year. It definitely is. And what I've done, I said, throughout my printing career, my fishing career, um, is do just that. I used to keep journals and keep up with how I caught them, where I caught them, kind of like Fish Brain. I created Fish Brain before Fish Brain. That's what we're saying, because I would really write it down. I know Bass used to send those journals to you, and it have dates, and
Mhm.
it have the seasons and stuff, and I'd fill them all out and really write down how I caught them. And during the summer, I would fish so hard. Like if I didn't catch a fish a day, I felt some kind of way. Like that's how crazy I was about bass fishing. Like I've got to catch one a skunk. Nobody knew what a skunk was. I fished soft plastics, whatever, spinnerbait, crankbait, didn't matter. I would fish in the morning before work. Sometimes I'd sneak out and fish at break time. If we had a little 20-minute break, I'd try and go fishing. We had a little pond right there, not far from where I work. I'd walk over there, make 2 or 3 casts, and then be rushing back to work. I'd go at lunch, and then if I didn't catch one by lunch, I was feeling some type of way. I would go fishing after work. And I would stop by Lake Johnson over here right off of Avon Ferry Road before they built that barrier where you could fish the fishing pier. And I would fish till it got dark. And I would catch a fish every day. Like it was just it happened. Like I made it happen. But
Yeah, I use the Angler app now for most of my notes, but I I have my journals, and my bass fishing one has a bunch of notes. My catfishing journal, I would
mhm,
draw the river, like where I was on the river.
mhm.
I would draw like the bend in the river and where the pool was and where the riffles were and stuff.
I've got a map of Falls Lake. I've got it all marked out on a map. Like who does that? I've got some of my best spots like on a real physical paper map. I have an old Falls Lake map that don't. It's not waypoints. I just know the lake like that. I've got it marked out there.
Absolutely. Well, man, uh, there are a few questions that I make sure to ask every guest. And so my favorite question to ask every episode is, what fishing story or memory means the most to you?
Probably. me fishing with my dad, uh, right off the bat. Like I said, those memories of being carried to the pond, him having me on his shoulder and taking me fishing. Um, like I said, I wanted to go fishing all the time. Like I would have went every day if somebody was willing to take me. So that was kind of how I fell in love with fishing, was through him. We had a trip to Carl Lake once, and me, like I said, I was out of high school, in college, middle aged, young man. Thought I knew it all. I'm about to catch him. Like we went fishing together. He walked one way, I went the other way. I'm fishing. I ain't caught anything. I'm thinking I'm gonna catch him. I looked up the bank and he was killing them up the way, just tearing them up. So sure enough, I made my way over there, hound dog it to his spot, and ended up catching a couple. He was like, "I thought you would make your way back over here." So that was the one time my dad outfished me, and it was pretty good because he did it royally. So that's my favorite memory.
That's awesome. My dad still outfishes me, and and he likes to rub it in a little bit.
We
He'll
got to do something about that, man. We got
he
to do something about that.
because he'll sit there and he'll be like, "Look at all those fancy lures you brought," and he'll take a white 3-inch grub on a Zebco 33
Hard
and
to
wear
beat.
me out.
Hard to beat. Hard. That's what we would like to call it over at the bass juice, a bass snack. That's what that is. It's
Oh,
kind of a finesse, but at the same time, it's really powerful. I used to actually catch them like that all through January and February when the water's still cold, just on a white grub. Because I mean, I do a lot of crappie fishing too, and I've caught some pretty good crappie over the years. No 3-pounders, but I've caught several over 2. Um, but yeah, that white grub is hard to beat. The old Mr. Twister, so to speak.
yeah. He this past Christmas, he actually gave me a pack with a little note
Get out of here.
about how now I have some lures that'll actually catch fish.
Ah, oh, that's great. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's great. That is great. But yeah, that's it. I said, those memories of that, having enjoying that with him is hard to beat.
Absolutely. And whenever you went with your dad, were y'all mostly bass fishing, or were
It was whatever we could catch. I don't think we targeted fish, and that's funny because people ask me that even now. It's like, how do you know what kind of fish you're gonna catch? It's like I target. I know what I'm catching, and that's. I don't know why. As an angler, I'm psychic. But when you target fish, you target the areas that they're going to be in. Like if I say I'm going crappie fishing, I'm going to catch crappie. Like I'm going to find them and I'm going to drop straight down vertical jig and catch them. That's just how it goes. If I'm catfishing, I'm going to go bottom fish. It's a technique combined with the areas. If I'm going bass fishing, I'm going to first start out with that chatterbait. It's going to happen usually on the chatterbait. If chatterbait doesn't work, that's too much. Then I downsize from the chatterbait down to the bladed, not the bladed jig, but the underspin. So I'll go from the chatterbait to the underspin. Then when the underspin doesn't work, that's when I start slowing down. And it's either worm or square bill or jig. I'm not big on jigs. I've got a lot of jigs, but I would rather power fish. That's my style. I would rather cast and reel and have them just show themselves to me. And basically what I'll do is I like junctions, like spots that fish set up on. Like when they set up on it, that's where they're supposed to be. So if you make that cast enough times, eventually one is going to come and use it as an ambush spot. Like you want them to see your lure before they see you, basically. So if I'm fishing a point, I'm on this side of the point. I'm throwing to the other side. Some fish can't see me over there because they're deep. The point is high to me. I'm on the back side of it, so they don't see me. So when the wind is blowing right for those type scenarios, it's hard to beat. When the wind's blowing right for you, it's hard to beat. Those fish never knew what hit them usually.
absolutely, man. Whenever you're out fishing with somebody, what are you typically talking about? What's your conversation like?
My conversation is usually something I either did or something that happened during the week. It's always therapy, man. This week so and so happened, or I ran out of gas, or something happened, or it's always something, some funny story. People always get the best out of my stories when I'm fishing. Like even something that happened way back in the day or something. Just always something that you can share. Now, there's a guy that I used to fish with. That's all we would talk about was just how good God has been to us. And we would really go over that over and over and over again. And he was like, man, I can't believe you got more stories than me. And I was like, I can't believe you got more stories than me. And we would just laugh about it, just sharing it back and forth. It's like, what a good day we had. And it wasn't even more so about catching the fish. It was just being able to, show some compassion for another human being and understand the path of what it's like being a man in America out here. So uh, it's good. Like I said, it's not necessarily barbershop talk, but at the same time, when you're fishing, you're already sharing that in common. So obviously, you got a lot of other things in common. And the more you talk, especially with new people that you haven't fished with before, you start realizing that this is just this is just a color. We're all the same underneath. You know what I mean? And it's just amazing. I actually love that about fishing because I've never met a fisherman that we didn't agree on stuff or couldn't have a good conversation or talk with and come away from it like, I like that guy. He was all right. I fished with like people before and like I never want to fish with him ever. Only even if we didn't catch anything, we had good conversation. So I've been really fortunate meeting a lot of anglers locally and just fishing together. So I don't have any complaints about that.
I've only in the past 8 months or so started making a point to fish with new people. I've always been the person that I want the lake to myself.
It's not easy. It's
It's a
not. It's not.
it
We
can be a
cherish it.
million-acre lake,
Hmm.
and one person is way on the other side. I can't even see them. I'm upset that they're there.
I understand. I
Um,
get it.
so I've been making a point, and I tell you, going out and fishing with new people, I've had some of the best experiences I have ever had. Some of them are funnier than others. Some of them are like
No
um,
nonsense. Like strictly business. Like I can't believe you're talking back there. We're fishing. Like be quiet.
I
I've had people tell me that too.
recently. Sorry, the dog's having a dream back there. Recently, I went out with Ramon from Ramon Outdoors, and
Mm.
we had a real deep conversation on the lake, and went out with Paul Paul Roberts from Paul Heels and Bass and Brew
I,
podcast,
I love Paul. He's awesome.
and I joke that going fishing with Paul just means fishing the same body of water on purpose. Um, we were on a real small lake. We were on Lake Raleigh, so we got to see each other because he went past me multiple times.
Yeah.
Uh, but he is all business. He is going. Like
Yeah, he is.
he's going to catch fish, and I've been wanting to kind of get a feel for some fishing photography and outdoors photography, and I was like, I would like to be able to practice, and I was like, hey. Hey Paul, would you mind if I took some pictures of you while you're fishing so that I can work on my portfolio and stuff? He goes, I don't care what you do, I'm going fishing.
I like the impersonation. That was pretty good too. That sounded just like him.
Um, but yeah, I've enjoyed everybody I've gotten to go fishing with so far. So I'm looking forward to doing more of that. But
Okay, well let me know. I'm free all the time, bro. Like I said, I'm retired and I try and get out at least once a week now because the therapist is gonna ask me, did I catch one? So if you catch me on the right time, we should be able to link up and catch some
absolutely,
here locally.
I would love that. But yeah, man. So we are going to jump into a segment that we do with all of our guests, and it is called "What's Your Favorite." Now it's a self-explanatory segment. I'm going to ask you your favorite in a few different categories.
Hmm.
And we always start off with what's your favorite scripture?
As a kid, the easy one was always Jesus will. They have you go up there and be like, everybody saying the scripture. It's like, way to get around to me is one that was easy for me to remember. Jesus will. Now,
That is a pastor's kid, y'all.
it is. I'm telling you. Um, now, for me, I'm gonna give you one that I've been reading. I actually read it when I do my breathing treatments, which is Psalm 91. Uh, about sheltering in the wings of the Almighty. That I could never read it enough times, and especially now during the pandemic and what it means, it's pretty strong.
Absolutely.
I've done some research and I've been looking up healing scriptures, um, and things that we can use in the words that's there, because it's in the Bible. Things are there that you can read it and it happened for you. And I have been discovering a lot of stuff. Like I said, it's been things that have been shown to me, but that's one that I read on a daily. Like I said, Psalms is hard to beat, very
Absolutely.
hard to beat.
Now, what about a particular story from the Bible? Is there one of those that's your favorite?
Yep, it's easy. Remember, like I said, that preacher kid, um, the prodigal son. I said, my dad was big. He had a lot of sermons, but that was his favorite. He loved that one because it seemed like that was I was always the one like asking for all my stuff. Like right then, that seemed like that was me because I was a baby. I was spoiled. But just the story of that and to hear him preach it the way he did growing up, that's probably my favorite.
Awesome. All right. So, what is your favorite fish to catch?
Favorite fish to catch. Now this is gonna get me in trouble. This is gonna get me in trouble because I should have created the crappy juice instead of the bass juice. I'm gonna be serious. We were talking serious now. I shouldn't even be telling you this, but I'm serious. When it's crappy season, I have a hard time putting the bass rods in the boat because there's a time when the bass just it'll either turn off or they hard to find or they won't bite. Um, and I like to thump. I've said that before on a lot of different videos. I'm a jig fisherman by trade. That's what I've always done. Is I always taught the crappie fish. I'm not drowning any minnows, so I target those fish. And when I do find them, we catch a lot of them. I've had some of my best days fishing on Falls Lake, crappie fishing. I'm serious, like right before Thanksgiving, and we were throwing back 14 inches. They were too small. Like I'm serious. I had a trash bag of crappie that was hard to carry. Coming up out of there, we had the biggest fish fry. Um, but we were catching slabs. And when I say slabs, we were catching slabs. And the secret to that was these fish were deep. When I say they were deep, deep. 22, 23, 24 foot down. I mean, and you had to count it down to get down to them. And if you were the type to cast and reel at 12 or 14, you would have never scratched those fish. And we located them, I said down deep 23, 24 feet, and they were slabs. When I say they were slabs, I was looking at my buddy and we were just shaking our heads on every time we set the hook, like another one. Like, are you kidding me? A 16 incher. I mean, 2 pound crappie, like, bam, another one. Oh my God. Just those days don't come around when it comes to bass fishing. Now, I've had some really
Right.
good days bass fishing. I've had some 100 bass days fishing, but it was in Durham. Wasn't in Raleigh. It was in Durham. Uh, a place called Little River. We used to go there every weekend. It's out there in Trayburn, Orange Factory Road. I'm gonna go on and drop that for everybody. Anybody who wants to fish it. Uh, it's a John boat only lake owned by the city of Durham. Um, and 100 fish day. We kept up with it. Like we're gonna catch 100 today. Had 100 fish day out there, and it was all bass. So no crappie, catfish, white perch, none of that. It was strictly bass. I want to say we fished that morning. We had 35 or 40 by lunch, and I think we fished until 7:30. About 6 o'clock, we had hit 90. Those last 10 were the hardest to catch. They were the hardest to catch, but we did it. We had 100 fish day out there, and that's hard to do when it comes to bass. It's just it don't come around often.
Absolutely. So, if crappie's your favorite to catch, what's your favorite to fish for?
Bass is the favorite to fish for. If I'm catching, I'm going crappie fishing. If I want to have some fun, then I'm gonna get out the swim bait and I'm gonna go find me. You see that? That's the S waiver, the
Yeah.
120. I'm gonna go out and find me one that'll turn on that and make it hurt. Because that's what happens. Like I said, sometimes when you target those bigger fish, size kind of matters. And that was what I started coming into, right before I got sick, was I was fishing bigger bait. Just I wasn't 100% just throwing swim baits. I wasn't just a big swim bait fisherman, but all my profiles on my baits were just larger. I was fishing the chatter baits with the swim tails and the paddle tails on the back. I was fishing my spinner baits with the trailer hook and plus another piece on the back. Even my square bills, I was fishing those big square bills, not the little bitty ones, the great big square bills. And that's actually what I caught that 10-4 on, was a giant square bill. I want to say it was an H2O Express square bill. They sell at Academy in the shad pattern of all things. And what's crazy about me catching that fish was, I said I was on them that week. I was catching them pretty good, but one blew up behind me. And it just was a miracle that it happened that I caught the fish. One blew up behind me. This is Sharon Harris. And I turned. It was like, man, I got to get a frog. I need a frog. And I needed to make a long cast to clear my rod to get ready for the frog. I was going to cut this square bill off. I made the cast. And I'm reeling it in, burning it to get ready to cut it off to get a frog. And I have a 10-4 eat it like 12 feet from the boat. I set the hook. He runs to the side, pull drag. And I was like, I got a giant on here. I was like, please show yourself. And it was a short fight. I mean, it was pretty quick. I turned her. She came towards the boat. I grabbed the net. Boom, she swam right in it. I mean, when it happens, it happens. And it was that kind of deal. How I lost that one on Falls that time, I have no idea, because I had so much time with that fish. It seemed like I had all day. It just, everything went into slow motion. And she was so pretty and it didn't have a mark on her. It's just beautiful fish. But this one was a big old ugly Sharon Harris 10-pound bass. Tail was all jacked up. I mean, it was just, she was ugly. But hey, I got it done. Finally got to put that PB up there. I've got a double digit under my belt. So I felt accomplished that day.
Absolutely. And this next one, I think you might have already given away the answer to this one, but what's your favorite fish to eat?
The eat is crappy, without a doubt. Now, don't get me wrong. If the blues are running at the coast,
Oh, yes.
but that's the transition. Like it's one or the other. Now they just came up with a new size limit on the white bass, so you got to really catch a nice white bass now in order to keep them. I think keeper size of white bass now is what, 14 or 16. They got to be giant. But anyway, yeah, it used to be white bass before they put that new size limit on them. But now I'm scared to keep one because you don't never know if they're the right size or not. But my last trip to Falls, my last really, really good fishing trip where I had a lot of fun, I was catching white bass. And I was catching them on a spoon, basically just vertical jigging them, tearing them up. I mean, just cast after cast, just drop it down, shake it twice, and they would just nail it. So not only were they fun to catch, they're fun to eat too if you cook them right. So if anybody checks my regular Instagram, they know I like to fry a few. So
I was getting ready to say it's probably a stupid question to ask you, how do you like your crappie cooked?
fried, straight fried. And I actually like Cajun seasoning that you can just buy at the supermarket. I used to have a technique that I picked up off of the internet once of just crumbling just regular saltines up in your flour and then adding a little Cajun to it. And that's really, really good like that. But it's a little...
I use Ritz crackers in mine.
It's hard to beat. It is. It really is if you do it right. But for me, if they're fresh, if I just caught them and I'm about to fry them, you can't mess that up. You can't.
Yeah.
Only if you're out of hot sauce. It's the only way to mess that up.
Yeah, and I tell you what, your other option there, that it is very hard to beat a cold water blue.
Please.
Not only in the fight, but on the plate too. And so many people at the coast call them trash fish that they don't
think
taste
so.
good.
I said the same thing. I'm like, give me every one you catch. Buddy, watch. Hand them to me. I'm gonna bleed them. I'm gonna cut their gills and bleed them out so they don't have that line in them. And when I get home, it's on. The last time I remember eating some
Good too.
fish that I made that was that good, just so tasty, and I filleted them right, and they just came out perfect, was bluefish.
Yeah.
I know, right? Making you have a flashback. I'm ready right now. I'm hungry right now.
Well,
Luckily, I don't have any in the freezer.
since we're both hungry, what's your favorite fishing snack?
Favorite fishing snack, without a doubt, is probably a payday.
Ooh,
Payday,
payday.
because it's not gonna melt. If anything, it's gonna get soft. It's gonna make it easier to eat if it sits out in the sun. Um, yeah, definitely, and not just a regular payday, king size payday.
That's the first time I've gotten a payday. That's an awesome answer.
That's hard. That and some Lay's chips, regular, old fashioned, plain yellow Lay's.
Absolutely. So I'm like you said earlier, I'm not going to ask for GPS coordinates or secret spots or anything, but what's your favorite body of water to fish?
I'll say Falls Lake. I love falls. I don't know why, but it's only during certain times of the year. Falls Lake during the fall when it's too cold for the wakeboarders and the skiers and the jet skis. Now, um, when the big boats are out, I'd rather be on Jordan. But fall and winter, I'd rather be on falls. Summertime, it used to be Sharon Harris because of the grass, but they killed the grass. So now that they're trying to grow the grass back, maybe it'll go back to grass to the old Sharon Harris of old. I haven't checked on it in a long time. I haven't been out there to some of the grass spots to see how it's really growing. But
I haven't
I'm
been out
thinking,
there in the summer in a while. I've been out
I'm
there in the
thinking
winter.
it's got to be getting pretty good right about now, because it's been going on almost 2 years since they planted those planters. So it should be growing pretty good by now. That's just my estimation. I'm gonna have to test that theory. I
Right.
gotta get my ducks in a row. I said I'm gonna try and uncover my skeeter tomorrow. I don't think it'll be a while before I'm able to take the big boat out, but I do want to take a trip out in my little kayak. I've got the Ascend 133X, and it fishes really good. I like that as a kayak. I didn't have to. It wasn't a big investment, but still I spent some money on it. But
Right. And
it's a really
got a motor on that thing, right?
yeah, I do. I actually bought the Japanese version. I think
Okay.
it's called High Swing off of Amazon. It was only $600. Um,
I was
isn't
thinking,
bad.
there's no way I want to paddle that thing.
No, it's 12 foot and 125 pounds. You don't want to paddle. I paddled it when I first bought it just to see, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad, but I'm a strong. I was strong, before I lost those 65 pounds in the hospital. But I said, and it was all shoulders and arms, and that was from lifting all those paper pallets throughout the years and printing. 30
Right.
years of that'll make you a man. It'll make a man out of you. But yeah, I really liked it. The stability of it, the way it paddled. I was kind of cool. Now on a windy day, it would be bad. No. But if it's nice out, you could get along pedaling it just fine. But I went ahead and invested in a motor for it. I didn't waste any time putting that thing on it, and it was the best thing since cottage cheese because it's got the little remote, and it's like taking a ride. It's like somebody take me fishing, okay, and you hit the button and just go. It's amazing. It's hard to beat.
That's awesome. And what about your favorite lure to throw?
Favorite lure?
Yeah.
Right off the bat, it's gonna be that chatterbait. It wasn't for a long time, and I started fishing chatterbaits when they first came out, and they've come so far now. We even have like the little finesse chatterbaits, like even the little crappie size chatterbaits, and I fished the other one too, the stealth blade. Stealth blade is nice. I haven't caught a lot of fish on it, caught a few, but it's not my confidence, kind of like a jackhammer or some of these other chatterbaits are. But when they're biting the chatterbait, it's hard to put it down, and that says a lot for a lure. And I pride myself at being able to fish just about anything whether it be a worm. I mean, growing up, that was what we wanted to do. Every week, we would change the lure. We'd watch Bill dance, and then we'd wake up like, yeah, I want to catch him on the spinnerbait today. And that's the adventure. And what's so fun about bass fishing is like you can catch them sometimes how you want to catch them ahead of time. You can say, well, I want to catch them on this. And to learn the different lures, it's really a chess game. When we learned the jig fish, and even when we learned the Carolina rig fish, we went with just about the jigs. That's the best way to learn a bait is just go with that one bait and fish it all day long until you catch one. Either you're going to hit them or you're not. You just, do you want to get skunked or are you going to learn to use this lure? And that was how I learned the techniques. Every week when we went out on the weekend, we'd change it up. We'd fish whatever. I mean, and one week it was a jig. Next week it's a crankbait. Next week it's the Carolina rig. We're trying to figure out the Carolina rig. Next week it's just a straight Texas rig. Next week it's top waters. That's all we're fishing all day long. Next week is a buzz bait. I mean, there was actually a pattern out there once where you throw the buzz bait on the bank. If you could find rocky banks, let it clank down the rocks. And when it hit the water, I swear they would eat it within the first 3 handle turns. I mean, they wanted it coming off of the rocks, not casting the water, but throwing it on the bank, clack, clack, clack down the rocks. And then when it hit the water, they were already waiting on it. So those deep water points, like those 45-degree banks, that was a killer pattern, man. It was just one of those magical times.
Awesome. And last but not least, what's your favorite time of year to throw or to fish?
I'm gonna say the fall right off the bat. I mean, I love the spring. I mean, we all love, but for fall, for me, it's just better. It's I don't know why, because maybe the shad are just schooled up and moving a little differently. Sometimes they're easier to pattern in the fall because what'll happen is those fish will migrate and the shad will start dying off and they'll start graduating towards the points and just setting up on them. And I remember I used to actually, we both live in Garner, but I worked in Durham before I retired, and I used to drive across Falls Lake every day. And there was a Friday I was driving home from work, and I'm dropping spots, but these are all community holes anyway, so I ain't worried about it. I drove across New Light. Everybody knows where New Light is. New Light Bridge, and coming across the bridge, you could see the fish schooling on the point. They were there, like blowing up. And this was Friday night. I went home. My son was spending the weekend with me, and when I got there, I said, Jalen, we're going fishing in the morning. I was like, you better be ready. Like, we're going fishing in the morning. And he was like, okay, Dad. And I was like, all right, be ready. 5:30. We ain't playing. It's gonna be dark. We're gonna be there. Because I knew the fish. I was like, those fish are still there. They're still gonna be going bonkers in the morning. And that morning we got up, jumped in the truck, and it was one of my best days fishing with my son. We pulled up and that fish was still there. I threw the top water first cast. I caught a 5-pounder. Bam. Second cast, I caught like a 4.5. Bam. Third cast, I was catching the third 5-pounder before he could even make a good cast and get set up. I had caught 3 off the bat like that. There was a little hole that was kind of on the ground right there with some water in it. I used that as my live well. I dropped the fish in that, made another cast, caught another one, and then finally he caught one. We're both hooked up. So it was just one of those epic days. And then we took the picture. I had him take my picture. And that fish made it, those 2 fish made it on to My Fish Friday on WRAL.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was like, here's John Walton at Falls Lake. You can catch 2. And it was me holding 2 fish, just loaded up like that. So that was the epic. That was definitely it.
For sure. All right, man. Well, we're going to start wrapping things up. What do you have coming up for you? What's coming up next?
For me, it's the CCKF event. I mean, that's what it is for me, because I don't have a lot going on with the brand right now. I want to start doing some pop-ups. I want to show up to some weigh-ins to kind of show face and show support for some local anglers. And I have some guys that have checked on me, have messaged me, have asked that I need anything, come by the house or whatever. And even when I was in the hospital getting messages from people wishing me well, it all meant the world to me. Like I said, it let me know that people cared and what I'm doing was making a difference. because I said I'm not doing it for the money. It's not a money making scheme. It's about sharing my love for fishing and supporting the local guys, and like I said, being stylish in my own way and being creative through my brand. So it's giving me that opportunity to be artistic, to be creative, and at the same time show some success, not just for me, but through other anglers. Them being able to catch fish, or at least, if nothing else, it's not a magic pill. But if I give you a sticker, and then it inspires you to go fishing because you saw the sticker and it got you excited. I mean, that technically I caught that fish. I'm gonna claim that one. So it's just one of those things, man. Like I said, I'm just trying to share. Like I said, my love of the outdoors, my love of fishing, and most of all, my love of Jesus Christ and what He's done for me. Not just throughout my fishing career, but throughout my life, throughout my family's life, and hopefully for future generations to come. Because I want to leave somewhat of a legacy for my kids at some point. Nothing's guaranteed. I'm not promised tomorrow, but at the same time, I said I know where my heart lies, and what love I have, for everyone. So for me to be able to share that and come here and tell a few stories and share some laughs, it's meant a lot. So I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. And if you've got sponsors or supporters or anybody you want to shout out or say thank you to, I want to give you the floor for that.
The list would go on. I couldn't name enough right off the bat. I said a good friend of mine and somebody I wouldn't be. I'm not gonna say wouldn't be here without, but somebody that inspired me is Big Coffee. I don't know if you know who he is. A lot of people know him in the area. He's Raleigh Durham famous, fishing around because he's just been a really good friend to me. And he saw things in me that I didn't see in myself from the very beginning before I even started the brand. Just having conversations with him and the things that we've shared over the years, like I said, it's meant a lot to me. So I would shout him out first because he's just that kind of guy, and he's humble, kind of like myself. We both, I think, we're cut from kind of like the same cloth a little bit. I said Southern guys, just men of substance, so to speak. If I say it, I mean it. I'm not going to pretend. So I really see a lot of that in him too. So like I said, I've met a lot of people that have those same values and same principles, and that's hard to come by nowadays. I said when you meet somebody like that, we always like to say they don't make them like that anymore, especially when it comes to our older generations. But I'm trying to pass some of this down to somebody else, whether it be through, just us fishing or just us talking or whatever, but to inspire somebody in some way. So going forward, I said that's been my mission since they gave me my voice back. So I'm thankful for it, and I'm going to use it to the best of my ability.
That's awesome. And what about social media? If you've got something like a YouTube channel or
I do have a little YouTube. It's got a few videos up, and it's the Bass Juice Official on YouTube. And my regular Instagram for my personal account is JY Walton 1. And then my Bass Juice account on Instagram is the Bass Juice. I want to say I have the Bass Juice on Instagram, is not Instagram, but on Facebook as well. I don't have as much on Facebook, but we were in the process of loading up a website. I'm still working on it. Got a guy that's already got it started, but he had some kind of incident. He's not been able to finish it for me. So we're praying over that. Hopefully we can get the website up. And but for right now, like I said, I'm doing as much as I can, a little at a time until, we can have an official launch for that. And when it does go up, hopefully some of these things will blow up a little bit more than they are right now. But word of mouth is fine with me. I mean, I can go right up here to Cabela's and meet 3 guys and be just as happy as I've met 300. So, like I said, it's never been about the numbers, but it's been about the substance and putting it in front of the right people. I said I'd rather have 3 loyal followers than 300. So
Absolutely.
I mean that.
And if any of our listeners want to purchase some of your apparel or want to purchase some bass juice, how do we do that?
Just straight through Messenger or straight through IG Messenger or whatever. My regular email address is 247 the juice at gmail.com. And I think I have that posted up on Instagram as well as through Facebook. So like I said, at this point, nobody needs a cell phone number. If you got Messenger, you can get in contact with anybody because you can hit the little icon and call them. So if they want to get in contact with me through Instagram, Facebook, whatever. I want to say I even have a little Twitter account that I play with from time to time. Um, and you can just look up the hashtags on basically any social media and find me, which is cool. I said it's not too often you can Google stuff and actually you'll see a picture in the list, but I've put out enough pictures and enough hashtags to where if you Google it, it'll come up eventually. I mean, Dr. Juice will come up first because they're big corporate guys. They made sure because there was a time where I was up there and they blocked that thing. They were like, "Oh no, I don't know who this little bass juice guy thinks he is, but we about to do this." And they got in contact with somebody up in the big wigs and they got me knocked down the ladder, but excuse me. But we're working on that. We're gonna keep things going in a positive direction, and hopefully, it'll continue to grow.
Absolutely. Well, Jay, man, thank you so much for coming on the show. I have had a blast. This is just one of those special episodes, man.
I appreciate it, man. Like I said, I had a really good message to tell, but it had nothing to do with me. I'm not claiming any of the glory on that one. That was all divine intervention. That was God doing his job and showing Himself through me. So I want people to see less of me and more of Him. Honestly, going forward, I really do, because it's that kind of relationship that I have with Him on a daily now. And I'll tell one more story before I leave. I said I was in the hospital, was in there struggling and pain, praying and just asking for strength and endurance. And I was refusing to watch television. Nurses would come in and be like, "Well, you don't want to watch TV?" I was like, "No." I was like, "Why don't you want to watch?" I was like, "Because I'm too busy giving Him praise." I was like, "Y'all don't understand." I would have my hand like this for hours at a time, just like, "Lord, I thank you. 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 I thank you." And I would just stay meditating on Him, and He got me through it. And it was through that. It's that simple.
That is awesome. All right, man. Well, that is how we are going to end the episode. Atolus, based out of Charleston, South Carolina, is an eyewear accessory and gear company focused on enhancing your time on the water. Their floating sunglass retainers are the most technically advanced around. Over 5 years of engineering, testing, and exhaustive feedback from paddlers, anglers, and watermen have resulted in a patented design in a class of its own. They're incredibly light and comfortable, built for durability, sport a sleek, minimal design, float virtually all brands and models of sunglasses, and they're backed for life. So if you break them, Atolus will replace them. No questions asked. Whether you're fishing, kayaking, or boating, Atolus will save your shades from the dream. Head on over to atollas.co to check out their gear and use promo code faithnfish15, that's faith the letter N, fish the number 1, 5, at checkout to save 15% on your order. With 30 years of experience of handcrafting lures under his belt, Mr. B of Mr. B Lure Company is making high-quality spinnerbaits, buzzbaits, jigs, underspins, swim blades, and more right here in the U.S. All of his skirts are hand-tied, and all of his baits feature a baked-on powder paint, all metal components, and only Owner and Gamakatsu hooks. All of his baits come in a variety of colors, and if you purchase a bait in the Battle Shad color, 30% of the proceeds go to the Wounded Warrior Project. To see the quality for yourself, go to MrBLureCompany.com, that's MRBLureCompany.com, to place your order and use promo code FAITH the letter N, fish the letter N, POD 1X10 at checkout to save 10% on your first order. Another huge thank you to Jay for coming on the show, sharing his story with us. I will leave all of his links in the show notes so that you can keep up with him. The CCKF June monthly tournament sign up so that you can sign up and again that will go to Jay to help him out with medical expenses. And there will also be the All Things Faith and Fishing link in the show notes that will take you to the website, the merch store, all the sponsor links, the YouTube channel where you can watch the episodes, and the Patreon where you can watch them early. That's going to do it for this episode, though. Y'all take care and God bless.